Hello and welcome to another SecretEntourage.com video. Today we're speaking with Todd Zuccone of Evolution Motorsports, a company which actually for years has been working with Porsches and who myself actually used to buy products from back in the day. And so I'm very happy to have Todd on today. Welcome, Todd, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
So Evolution Motorsports, big brand name for the Porsche era, and both for the, I think, 993s all the way to now the 991, right?
Correct. We haven't dove much into the 991, but it is something that's definitely on our to-do list.
Very cool. So you founded this company back in 1996, is that correct?
97.
97. So that's quite some time. So tell me a little bit about that journey and what made you start a company to tune Porsches.
Sure. Well, I started the company basically out of my passion and love for Porsche vehicles specifically, and the company was always founded, with its roots in the Porsche market. We've since expanded into other European models, but the roots have always been founded in Porsche. I basically started with very minimal and humble beginnings out of my house, and throughout the years have slowly grown from my house to probably 6 different facilities to the current facility now, where we're happy to be at. We're about 25,000 square feet, and we've got basically everything we need under one roof to pretty much build a car from start to finish.
So you started this out of your garage, ultimately, like a lot of small tuners start, I think, from an early on stage. But what was this passion about Porsche? Like, why did you have such a desire to go after that brand or that marquee?
Sure. Well, I grew up around Porsches. My father was a Porsche aficionado. He wasn't as much into the performance side of things, but still always had Porsches around. I remember as a young child, he had a bunch of speedsters. Now this is back in the 70s, so speedsters were, they weren't worth much. They weren't what they are today. But I actually I grew up back east in northern New Jersey, and on the weekends my father would go and bring me to a place up in upstate New York. And a gentleman by the name of Dick Hyland, who I still keep in touch with today, who was an engineer, and my father bought his first Porsche from. And I spent many weekends up at his barn in upstate New York, just being around these cars, from working on my father's Speedster as a young child to 911s, and just always being around pretty rare Porsches. And that's kind of where I grew my love for the model and for the vehicle.
So when you started this from your garage, were you a parts guy, or were you more like just installing and helping tune Porsches for friends? How did that kind of evolve? Because now today you carry some parts that are like, you have kits that are notorious in the Porsche world. So,
sure.
So how did this kind of where did it start and how did it evolve?
I actually worked for another company prior to starting my own business, and the beginning of the company, I started developing products. In the interim, I was selling other people's products, but while I was selling other people's products, I was also developing my own products. And that's kind of how it started. I was kind of feeding the business by selling other people's products while, in development of many products. And I started developing products specifically for the 930, because that's kind of was my passion at the time. Then later moved on to the 964 and 993s and started, developing products for each of those vehicles. And really the big boom of my business started in 2001 when the birth of the 996 Turbo came out. And that really was the beginning of, what I would say really the beginning of Evolution Motorsports as it is today.
Was that because the 996 was such a powerful new platform in a sense, and Porsches were now becoming kind of drivable in a sense?
Yeah, well, once they moved away from the air cooled and they got the computer control was a little bit more sophisticated, it left a lot more room on the table for modifications. Plus, I think it also kind of happened around a time where there was the client base was younger who were buying the cars. They had a lot of disposable income, and I think kind of like the perfect storm emerged, and you know, there was people that wanted to spend good money on these great cars. So that really between '01 and '05, '06 was really kind of the heyday of modifying Porsche 996 turbos, and that's really where we blossomed as a company and did most of our research and development, and a lot of projects we started back in '01, '02 are the basis of what we create today.
So what was the go-to product you had at the time that made you famous? Was it an Evo MS kit, or was it an intake? What was it specifically that kind of brought you to the forefront of forums and everything else?
I think it was the overall packages. I mean, we were one of the, I think actually the first company to offer an air intake system for the 996 Turbo, intercooler kits for the 996 Turbo, and basically we developed a staged process of being able to modify the car in stages to where you could start, at a stage 1 and upgrade to a stage 2 later, stage 3, stage 4, without being, penalized for building the car in stages rather than in one chunk. So it gave the customers the ability to build it as their budget or as their comfort level with the power grew, they could continue on building the car.
So when you started this in 1997, how long did it take you before you went from this is kind of a hobby / thing I'm doing in my garage to the time where you knew this was bigger and this was a business you were going to this was what you were going to do the rest of your life? You were kind of like going to head off this shop.
Sure. I kind of knew that this is what I was going to do back in 97, but really probably in 2001 with the 996 Turbo, that's when I knew that this was going to be a much longer term business, just because of the notoriety we started to gain, and the cars we started to build and the recognition we gained worldwide.
So when you did start this, like back in 2001, you were still one of the first, I think, and one of the few that offered these packages, and there weren't as many options as there are today. Certainly, I think the market's very saturated around Porsche today.
Sure.
And everyone and anyone's creating an intake or something they want to build of their own. So how does that change the playing field, or how has that kind of changed your business? Because with so many new contenders and so many new people wanting to get in this game, like, does that impact at all, like, your vision or how your business progresses?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does. I mean, there's definitely, each day there's a new slice of the pie being taken away, but we've emerged and have focused, we still focus on the day-to-day products that we build, but I think we're more well-known now for building some of the most powerful, highest performance vehicles, in the world. We've set numerous world records with our 996 turbos and 997 turbos, which to this day still have not been broken, which we set back in '04, '05. So, right now people come to us when they want to have the most powerful cars. And that's really, I think, what sets us apart. There's many companies that build bolt-on products, but there's not many companies that can build a bulletproof engine package that can go out and set world records.
So is the tuner game, from an entrepreneur standpoint, all about top-of-the-line records and who holds? Is that like, I mean, I'm not into the industry in a sense, but is that how a tuner really makes its name? Is if you're not setting out their world records, then you're really not being competitive in your industry?
I think it helps. I definitely think it helps. I mean, it helps in two respects. One, it helps our R&D department understand what, where the weak point is in these vehicles. So we can take the technology that we've learned by building a 1500 horsepower car and relate that to a 700 horsepower car, which is a much more popular engine package, that we sell.